You're driving. The dashboard promises you 80 miles of range. Your house is only 40 miles away. You do the math, you have double what you need. You are totally safe. 10 minutes later, that safety buffer is gone. The range number is free falling, you're sweating, and you realize that number on your dash was a lie. We aren't talking about a broken battery. We are talking about 5 specific situations where your EV range doesn't just slowly drop, it vanishes. And the scariest one? It happens when the car claims you still have 10% left. We'll cover exactly how to avoid that trap at the end of this video. But first, we have to talk about the invisible wall you are hitting every single day. Situation 1, the highway trap. Why 5 miles per hour costs you everything. Most people think driving faster uses fuel in a straight line. If you drive a little faster, you use a little more energy. In a gas car, the gears hide the truth. But in an EV, there are no gears to hide behind. Here's the uncomfortable truth your dealer didn't mention. The wind hates your car. Imagine walking through a swimming pool. Walking slow is easy. Now try to run. The water pushes back exponentially harder. Air acts the exact same way at highway speeds. When you go from 60 miles per hour to 80 miles per hour, you aren't just adding 20 miles per hour, you are forcing the car to push through a wall of air that is suddenly 4 times thicker. So, you're cruising on the highway at 70 miles per hour, you're comfortable. You see a clear lane and decide to bump it up to 80 miles per hour to save 5 minutes. You just murdered your efficiency. The computer in your car calculates range based on your recent driving. The second you hit that wind wall at 80 miles per hour, the computer panics. It realizes it made a mistake and it corrects itself by slashing 30 miles off your range instantly. The fix here is painful but simple. Dropping your speed by just 5 miles per hour feels slow, but it can literally double your remaining buffer. Speed is the price you pay to the wind, and the wind is expensive. Before we get to the heater mistake that ruins your winter driving, hit subscribe. We turn complex data into simple tips so you can master your EV and stay on the road. Now, let's look at something you can't control with your foot. Everyone says cold kills batteries. That's the generic advice. But that's not the whole story. The battery losing capacity in the cold is a slow process. That's not what leaves you stranded. What kills your range suddenly is the war happening inside your heating vents. In a gas car, heat is free. The engine is basically a giant fire making wasted heat, so blowing it into the cabin costs nothing. In an EV, the motor is efficient. It makes almost no heat. So to warm you up, many EVs use a resistive heater. Think of the glowing red coils inside a toaster. When you blast the heat to high, you're turning on a giant electric oven powered by your driving battery. Cruising down the street might use 15 units of power. Turning on that heater uses another 7 units instantly. You just increased your energy consumption by 50% without moving an inch. The car sees this massive power drain and immediately recalculates. Wham! Your range drops by 40 miles before you even leave your driveway. The secret weapon here is the seat heater. Heating the air in the whole cabin takes massive energy. Heating just the seat under your butt takes almost nothing. Use the heated seats, turn down the cabin air, and you'll actually make it home. Before we debunk the free energy myth, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a pucker factor moment where your range dropped instantly? Let us know in the comments. Your story helps others watch out for the same traps. Now let's talk about gravity. Situation 3, the free energy lie, downhill disasters. Picture this. You are driving up a huge mountain pass. Your range drops fast. You expect this, but you aren't worried. You think, I'll gain it all back on the way down using regenerative braking. Wrong. This is the downhill lie. You reach the top, start driving down, and take your foot off the gas. You expect the car to recharge the battery, but nothing happens. You have to use the actual brake pedal, throwing that free energy away as heat. Why? Because you prepared too well. If you charged your car to 100% at the top of the hill, there is nowhere for the energy to go. You cannot pour water into a bucket that is already full. The car disables the regenerative braking to protect the battery. The same happens if it's cold outside. A cold battery is like a frozen sponge. It can't soak up water quickly. The car blocks the energy to save the cells. So you coast down the mountain expecting free range, but you get nothing. The lesson, if you live on a hill, never charge to 100%. Leave the bucket empty enough to catch the rain. Before we show you why towing an EV is harder than you think, hit subscribe. We analyze the edge cases so you don't have to learn the hard way. Now, let's talk about trucks. Situation 4, the parachute effect. It's not the weight. If you bought an electric truck, you probably want to tow. You hook up a small, boxy utility trailer. It's light, maybe only 1,500 pounds. You think, this is nothing. 5 miles onto the highway, your range has been cut by 60%. This shocks people every time. We are trained to think that weight is the enemy, but on the highway, weight barely matters once you are moving. The enemy is shape. EVs are designed to be slippery. They slice through the air. When you attach a boxy trailer behind it, you are effectively attaching a parachute. Here is the wild part. You are better off putting 2,000 pounds of cement in the bed of the truck than towing a 1,000 pound empty box trailer. The heavy cement sits inside the truck's slipstream. The trailer destroys the slipstream. If you are planning a road trip, ignore the weight rating. Look at the aerodynamics. Situation 5, the fake 10%, why your car dies early. It's called the phantom empty. To understand this, you have to realize that your range meter is just an estimate. The car is guessing. Think of your battery like a juice box. When the box is almost empty, you suck on the straw and the box collapses in on itself. The flow stops even if there are still a few drops left. Batteries work the same way. When they are low on charge, below 10%, they get weak. Here's the trap. You are limping home with 5% battery. The dash says 12 miles range. You feel relieved. You come to a steep hill or merge onto the highway and you stomp on the accelerator. The car shuts off instantly. Why? Because you sucked on the straw too hard. When you demanded that burst of power, the voltage dipped too low because the battery was weak. The computer panicked and pulled the plug to save the system. This is why the bottom buffer is dangerous territory. 0% is not always 0%. Sometimes 5% acts like 0% if you drive aggressively. The fix: if you are ever limping home on low battery, drive like there is an egg under the accelerator. Be gentle, keep the demand low, and you can sip those last few drops of juice all the way to your driveway. EVs are engineering marvels, but they punish you for ignoring physics. Don't trust the guessometer blindly. Trust the conditions. Slow down on the highway, use your seat heaters, and don't stomp on the gas when you're below 5%. Next week, we break down the real-world range data of the top 5 new EVs. Subscribe now so you don't miss the results and stay ahead of the curve. See you in the next one.